Hello friends, welcome to the session AI in 5 minutes. In this episode 4, we'll be discussing the generative AI. So let's start the session and let us understand what we mean by the generative AI. So this is the episode 4 in which we are discussing about the generative AI. So let us start the session and let us understand what we mean by the generative AI. So generative AI, you can say, is a type of the AI that will create the new content. It can generate the text, images, audio, video. It will learn from the patterns of the dataset, and it will create, and it will not just predict. So this is the advantage of the generative AI. Generative AI is used to create the content. So in the traditional AI, normally it will classify and it will predict. It is either rule based or pattern based, but generative AI will create the new content, and it is more flexible as well as more creative. So this is the difference between traditional AI and generative AI. Generative AI can create the text such as answers to the questions, essays. It can create the images and artwork. It can create audio, video, and music, as well as it can create animations. So content creation is possible by making the use of the generative AI. So this is ChatGPT is an example of generative AI. We can give the prompts such as explain quantum computing in simple terms. We can give the prompts such as give the creative ideas for the birthday celebration, or you can give the prompts such as how to make HTTP request in JavaScript. So it has several capabilities. It will remember what the user has said. It will allow user to provide the follow-up corrections, and it is trained to decline the inappropriate request. But there are certain limitations, such as occasionally it may generate the incorrect information. Sometimes it will produce the harmful instructions or biased content, and it has limited knowledge. So these are the limitations of the generative AI. How does the generative AI work? Generative AI is being trained on the massive data. It will learn language and pattern, and it will predict the next word, pixel, or sound. So creation in the generative AI is probably best creation. So text, there are certain examples of generative AI, such as we can have the chatbots for the text generation. We can make the use of image generation tools, or there are certain voice synthesis systems that are used. So in education, generative AI is very useful. In industry also, many times the generative AI is being used. So generative AI is very powerful because it will save our time and effort. It will enhance our creativity. It will support teaching as well as learning, and we can make the use of responsible use of the generative AI. So there are certain limitations of the generative AI. As I said, sometimes we get incorrect or biased output. There is a risk of plagiarism in the generative AI. Also, there are certain ethical issues and there are certain copyright issues when you generate the content by making the use of AI. So human supervision is needed whenever you make the use of AI. So generative AI is a very creative assistant. It is very useful for the humans, but human have to provide the judgment and values. So whenever you are using the AI, you can use it creatively, but also a responsible use is required. Thank you friends for viewing the session.